to Ploughman's Backyard, and today we're doing a little special edition called The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And what it is, it's a garden collaboration between homesteaders, and we're just showing our gardens, the good stuff about our gardens, the bad stuff about our gardens, and the ugly stuff about our gardens. I want to give a shout out to Jeremey over at CJM Farms for calling us out for this challenge. Thank you so much that we could be a part of this. And so I guess the goal for this is he started it last year and he started it again this year. And his plan is that this reaches like globally, that all homesteaders and people that garden show us the good, the bad, and the ugly of all their gardens. So we're hoping this will become like a global collaboration. And I'm going to start by showing you my good, my bad, and my ugly in the garden. So I guess the first thing we'll do is look at some of the good that I have in the garden. One thing I do like about my garden is that it's super fruitful. I am blessed. It's always producing good crops, good yields. And I like that it's organized, that it looks neat and tidy because I love things that are organized. That's just who I am. And I can show you now, you can see everything has a place. I've got my turnip here. We always get huge turnip crops. All my herbs are doing really well. The celery, down to my cabbage and my broccoli, which are doing great. So this was my first year of having some really good broccoli heads. You know, I have offshoots coming from when I did cut some good broccoli. And it'll be my first year doing seeds, so I'm super excited about that. As you can see, the bees are loving the flowers. I actually think those are honeybees from the neighbors, so that's pretty cool. These are my turnips, which we always get like fabulous, huge turnips. Let's see what else we've got going on here. One other thing that I'm really excited about, it's our first year of having like a huge harvest. It's also part of the good of the garden, but it's a bit messy because it's an unfinished project. Our plan is to somehow get them to trellis a bit up further of the garage, but I'll show you. Last year we had 3 clumps of grapes. This year we are loaded, and I mean loaded with grapes everywhere. So this is definitely good, even though it does need some serious cleaning up. So that's awesome. More good is all this beautiful lettuce. We have so much lettuce. Chard is one of my favorite things to grow. It always does super great here. These are my Tiny Tim tomatoes. They're producing in abundance. The tomatoes in the greenhouse are doing better, but these guys, they're doing great. I do need to stake them, so watch out for a video on how we stake those coming up soon. Here is another definite good in our garden. Our carrots. They are doing awesome. Let's see. I doubt that they're ready to be pulled yet, but as you can see, we have an abundance of carrots. And I did plant a second sowing of these, so once these ones are done in the main garden, we have more started that are about maybe that high. So we're gonna have lots of carrots again this year. My ultimate favorite to grow are my beans. And why? Because they produce so much. Like they just keep going. And I never have a problem. I haven't really found a pest that bothers the beans. So it's a must, and it always does really well. So this is definitely a good in the garden. So these are my Royal Burgundy bush beans. I love planting bush beans over pole beans because they don't need to be staked. As you can see, the beans are just starting, and there's a ton of flowers, which means there's going to be a ton of beans. And these go right till frost. So we always have so many beans. So as you can see, we've got a ton of beans here, and I usually overplant, but we always have enough, and we always have enough to share, which is always a good and a plus in our garden. So another plus in our garden is always our zucchini plants. As you can see, we got lots of zucchini starting, and they look fabulous. There's so many coming, and we just can't get enough of zucchinis. A friend of mine was shocked that I planted 12 zucchinis last year, and I planted a little bit more than that this year, because there's a saying which my neighbor, which he's really close to us, we really appreciate him. He's told us that there's this running joke back when he was growing up, and he told us when we first moved in here, he said, lock your cars in the summer. And we're like, what? And he said, well, you'll get people leaving zucchinis in your cars if you don't. So it was a bit of a joke. It was hilarious because people are trying to get rid of zucchinis. But being the vegetarian that I am, I never have enough zucchinis. You can make delicious lasagnas using zucchinis. We make zucchini burgers. We love zucchini soup. We love dehydrated zucchinis. Like, there's so much you can do with it. So, and roasted zucchinis is also really good. And you can also, if you're gluten-free, you can make noodles and stuff with a spiralizer with zucchinis. So there's a lot of options with zucchinis, and we never have enough. We always seem to always want more. So zucchinis, they do fabulous, and definitely a good in our garden too. Asparagus, we can't forget asparagus. So asparagus is definitely a plus in our garden. So we get about 12 weeks or so worth of asparagus. It does dwindle off by the time July hits, but if you pick it every day, it just keeps coming back, and we get an abundance, and we're always sharing with our friends and neighbors. So it's definitely a plus. It's a good, very good to have in the garden. And these ones are going to go to seed to produce more plants for next year. So I definitely cannot talk about the good without mentioning the raspberries, because they are probably our #1 yielder in this garden, besides the asparagus. And I don't know if you can see all the red through here, but last year we got 48 jars of jam just off of row 1, row 2, row 3. And they're probably about, I want to say about 12 feet long, this row. They're all about 12, and we just get an abundance. And so they are definitely part of the good in our garden. So another good in the garden is cucumbers, because like I said with the zucchini, we let ours run on the ground outside, but in the greenhouse we trellis it up, and we always get an abundance of cucumbers. So we picked about 3 the other day and had a nice salad out of them. Lots more coming. Here is our corn patch here, as well as we've got some, I don't know if you can see it or not, but between the corn I've got a few squash plants growing, and then the potatoes are doing great. They're looking fantastic. We've got a huge potato patch here, along with our corn and our squash. So definitely I cannot talk about the good without talking about these tomato plants. You can see how high they grow and how well they grow. I've got a few ripe ones here. Oh, look at that. So these are the Sun Gold cherry tomatoes. My absolute favorite cherry tomato that we grow here. And these things, like, they just keep giving, and they'll keep giving probably till about the end of November. So it's a bit of a jungle in here, but definitely part of the good in our garden is all the lovely tomatoes. These are another one of my favorite. Believe these are the German stripe. They are fabulous. They taste really good. You can see my basil plants are doing really well. This is my other favorite here. Sorry, they're not ripe yet, but you can see like just how big they are. These are my black from Tula. I got these seeds last year from Angie over at Me and You Acres, and I saved the seeds from my plants last year and grew them again. So they are one of my favorites as well. And I don't know if you can see, I've got some peppers. I do need to do some weeding in here. It's been a few days. Got lots of peppers coming. And again, Sun Gold Cherry tomatoes. Oh, they're so good. They're so sweet. And I've probably got 6 of them growing in here just because they are so prolific. I got a couple, these are called lipstick peppers. And these are sweet banana peppers. These are nice as well. So now that we talked about all the good in the garden, it's time to talk about the bad in the garden. The number one bad thing in the garden that I'd have to say this year is the cucumber beetles. And this is what they did to all of my plants. You can see all the browning. They did a number in here in the greenhouse. I think they did worse in here for some reason than they did on the ones outside. And as you can see, I've got some powder on there. It just deters them from coming, but these should have been a lot bigger. Last year we had a lot larger plants, but for some reason the beetles really did a number on the cucumbers within the greenhouse. I'm just going to show you a little comparison now to what my cucumbers outside look like. So these definitely did get hit by the cucumber beetle as well, as you can see, but they also did a lot better. They're growing really well. They've really taken off. So for some reason, I'm thankful that I put these ones out here. It's always good to put the things that you're growing in 2 different spots in the garden in case you do have pests. And this is a good example of why. Definitely the cucumber beetles, pests in particular, are the bad of the garden this year. So another bad of the garden, again, is pests. And that would be the white moth cabbage butterflies, or caterpillars, whatever you want to call them. You can see these cabbages were planted at the same time as a few of my others. I'm going to show you. They're not doing great. We did come out, Hannah and I come out, and we picked every day the caterpillars off of our plants. We put diatomaceous earth on. These guys, I think they should still produce head. This one looks like it's trying, but they're not doing as good as some of the other ones. I'm just going to show you. So this is another really bad of the garden. This is my poor little cabbages. They really did a number on my cabbages this year. I've never had them this bad. Take a look at this guy. Like, I mean, I'm shocked if he survives. But yeah, thankful I've got a few large heads coming. We did have some on this, but it seems to produce a head. And this one didn't get as bad of an attack. However, now that it's formed its head, you can see, I don't know if you can see it, all the poo-poo. Oh, there's one here. Disgusting. Disgusting. If you can see that. That is the bad in the garden. Oh, you're so gross. Anyways, definitely the bad in the garden. We really seem to like the kale. They've attacked the kale, but not as bad. They've attacked the cauliflower, and they've definitely attacked my broccoli. But my broccoli, I'm thankful. Oh, look, we have another head of broccoli. Oh, look at, we gotta cut this guy right out. So they have done a number on the broccoli, as you can see. But it seems to survive. And I've actually heard that wasps are really good to have around because apparently they kill or eat the caterpillars. However, I don't particularly like having them around so much. So I definitely want to say that the white moth caterpillars and the cucumber beetles are the bad in our garden this year. So another pest in the garden that is not actually out yet, it usually comes out for us around August, is the hornworm caterpillars. And they are like massive. They're like beasts and they're so disgusting. And they usually attack the tomatoes. So that's another pest to watch out for. Another bad in the garden, but so far our tomatoes look like they are untouched. You would see literally all of these leaves would be completely stripped and there would just be the stem left. And that's how you would know if you had a hornworm. I think it's called a hornworm caterpillar. And they, I'm not kidding, like they're huge. They're so fat, so ugly. And so you need to watch out for those. Definitely look out for things that are eating your leaves, because it can really damage and stress your plants out. So definitely pests are the bad of any garden. So now we're going to look at the ugly in the garden. And I've had to think about this one a lot because I'm like, what is the ugly? So at first I was thinking about the weeds in the greenhouse because I haven't had a lot of time to do them with working and all the things we're doing around here. And it's so hot by the time you get outside that like you can't be in there very long. Otherwise you like get like overheat. So I do it every 2 weeks. I'd go through and do a good weeding. It's due for another one. I thought, you know what that is? It is kind of ugly. It's like, I don't know, it feels like a jungle in there. Then I thought about my grapes because it's a project that I've been wanting hubby to do for a while, and I want the grapes to grow up because again, I like to be organized and I like everything to have a place and it to be orderly because that's part of who I am. And it's just kind of like, blah. But the grapes are really good. And I love that they're producing and they seem to be doing okay, just kind of being there. And I'm like, so that's not really ugly. But then this past week, something happened that is definitely, I think, the ugly in our garden. And last night, something happened that I probably should have videoed, but because, anyways, I'm just going to tell you anyways. So this past week, Hannah and I, this is our water jug. I don't know if you can see it. It's right there. It waters our garden when things get dry. It's got like a tap. We go and we take our bucket and we just water some things, water in the greenhouse. And Hannah helps with that. And she's terrified of wasps. So she was over there and the wasps started following her. Then yesterday I went into the garage where our freezer is and started to get a few things out of the freezer, and when I walk out, wasps follow me to the house. Just got to be quick. And then yesterday we were going to start staking my tomato plants last night, and I was going to get a video going to show you how we stake our tomato plants because they can grow really tall. So we have these wooden, I don't know, stakes here. So we got them out of the garage because that's where we keep everything. And as hubby was coming out last night, I should have taken, maybe I'll take a little video or something or picture of it anyways. But he was coming out with the stakes last night so we could go and stake our tomatoes. and a wasp came and poof, got him right between the eyes, like really right here. And he's like, oh, anyways, he went like this, flung his glasses off, and his glasses broke. And he just got these glasses last year. So we're like, eh. Anyway, so he went and had a look because there was like swarms of wasps over that water jug. So we went and took a look because we know usually just under the roof there's a bit of a ledge. They do get wasp nests. Well, every year Jason goes and he takes the wasp nests down in the winter when they're dormant and gets rid of them. And so we haven't seen any up this year. But surprisingly, what we found out last night was there's a wasp nest inside our water jug, and it's opened at the top, and they were swarming. So we got my stakes there. And anyways, last night, Mike came over from Me and You Acres and a couple of his friends. They had to put some stuff in the garage because, as you know, if you've been keeping contact with them and watching their stuff, I'll put a link up here in the just click on that and you can watch what they're doing. They've sold their off-grid home and they're rebuilding on another parcel of their land. So I want you to check them out. They got a lot of cool stuff there. But anyways, Mike come over. A few of his guys put some stuff in the garage just to store it for the winter so it doesn't get damaged. And anyways, hubby here, I put some green clay, which is awesome. I recommend if you don't have green clay in your house, you need to get some. Great for burns, great for bug bites, everything. So I put some green clay just like literally right here on his nose, right by his eye. Put it on. The swelling was like nothing. There was no swelling. It started, it went away. We did 3 applications, gone. And then a couple weeks ago I got stung in the raspberry bushes and my arm started to swell up. Put about 2-3 coats of green clay on. Nothing, gone, not a problem. So I recommend having green clay. It's really good for burns too. But anyways, back to the ugly. So Mike's friend Wally, you know who you are, and it was great meeting both you guys. I forget the other guy's name. Anyways, I forget. I'm sorry. But Wally offered to help Jason get the wasps out of the water jug there. So it was hilarious. I probably should have videoed it, but I was like, I just met you guys. I'm sure you don't want to be on our YouTube channel. Anyways, it was hilarious. He had like a cape on and everything. He was like super Wally. But he went in there and he knocked it down into the water. So we're going to have to figure out how to get it. Last night, Jason went out about like 9:30, 10 o'clock, and the wasps were still like, whoosh. So this is definitely the ugly because I can't go, one, I can't go in the garage to get my garden tools. 2, I can't go in my new garden gate to get to my garden. I got to go around to the other side. And 3, we can't use our garden water source. So I'm just going to look. I don't see any wasps there right now, but this is definitely the ugly this year in our garden. I'm going to see if I can just we're going to see if we can look in and see where it is without getting stung. So I don't know if you can see that or not, but I had to gently drop you. I had wasps actually crawling down my tripod, and as I got closer, I just kind of laid you down gently and ran in the porch. But there was a few still in there. I don't know what they're trying to do, whether they're trying to build another nest or repair. You can see a big chunk fallen in the water if you look carefully, as well as there's a little chunk of it as well. So I want to thank Me and You Acres friend Wally for knocking that out. Give him some love, the poor guy. I think he got stung like 5 times last night trying to do that. So yeah, I want to say that is definitely the ugly over weeds and over my poor little blah of grapes growing in a clump over there, but the wasps are the ugly this year. So in closing, I want to thank you for watching us here at Ploughman's Backyard. If you haven't subscribed to us, please hit that subscribe button and hit that bell notification icon. It lets you know when we have new videos out. As part of the collab video, the collaboration of homesteaders, with this challenge that I've done of the good, the bad, and the ugly, I am to call out a few more people to challenge them to do the good, the bad, and the ugly in their own home garden. So I'm going to do a shout out to our friends over at MB Heritage Farms. I'm going to challenge you to do this challenge, as well as I'm going to challenge Stephanie over at Hickorycroft Farms. She's another local homesteader that I've learned a lot from this year. She has, like, her and her husband, they do a lot of really informative stuff on gardening. So I'm going to do a challenge to them. I'm going to challenge you to do this, the good, the bad, the ugly as well. I also have one of our top supporters that I can't thank enough. She's always watching us, always commented. I'm sure you know who you are. I want Bettina H. If you haven't checked her out, she's got a little garden there, and I want to challenge her to also do the good, the bad, the ugly at her home. And I think I might only supposed to do 3. I don't know if there's any rules on that, but I can't leave this one out. She is another homeschooling mom like myself. She's a great friend of mine, but not only, does she teach homeschooling, but she also includes her kids in how to cook in the kitchen, to do recipes. She gets them in the garden, teaches them how to plant. So I'm going to do 4. I hope that's okay. I'm going to do a shout out to Gina B Homeschool. I'm going to get you to do this collab video as well. The good, the bad, and the ugly in your home garden. And so not only part of homesteading is the gardening, the recipes, the animals we have on the farms, but when we've got children, it's including our children in everything that they do, that they can also learn these really beneficial skills to homesteading. So I want to do those shout outs. So again, MB Heritage Farms, Hickorycroft Farms, Bettina H, and Gina B Homeschool. This one's for you. I'm going to put a description to your links all in my description down below. I also want to thank again Jeremey over at CJM Farms for challenging us to do the good, the bad, the ugly. I'm going to put his link in our description below, as well as there's a couple other people that I know that are doing the good, the bad, the ugly that I know that Jeremey challenged. I'm going to put their links down below too. You know who you are. Me and you acres. Hidden Blessings Homestead. Let's get this collab going globally. Okay, thanks again for joining us here at Ploughman's Backyard.